Thanks for tuning in, brothers and sisters in strength. It's awesome to always connect with you all, but especially today and tonight when we get to connect with a coach such as Kyle Keese, who's at Denton High School, which is a school that I'm very familiar with, being a graduate of the University of North Texas, which is also in Denton, but also in being able to get to know Coach Keese over especially the last year, right? It was the CSCC conference convention that we connected at out in Fort Worth and first met face-to-face, but Coach, I've been a longtime follower of what you do and certainly a supporter of everything that's going on at Denton. I want to thank you very much for being on this roundtable.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate everything you do for this profession. And, man, thank you so much for helping me out.
Appreciate it, Coach. We'll get right into it. I'm going to start with a few of my questions. And then, again, I have some questions that actually happen to come from a couple of the coaches I look up to most in this profession. So I want to get to those. But let's start with just talking a little bit about Denton Geyer. Tell us a little bit about Geyer, maybe the demographic makeup. You don't have to get too precise with it, but just who the neighborhoods are that you're pulling from, who the people are, who the families are, who's the average ninth grader, and who's the average graduate.
Okay, well, we're located in South Denton. We're the third high school. They've actually just added a fourth one in Denton ISD. Our enrollment's about 2,500 to 2,600. We're at the highest classification, 6A. We're in a district with 5 or 6 other schools who average about 5,000 enrollment, 6,000. The very diverse population. We got everything from high income to low income, from kids from all over the world. The average freshman, pretty much a little string bean, little bitty toot. Hopefully by the time they leave, they're definitely developed a lot in our program, not only as an athlete, but as a person. But that's basically Geyer.
Awesome, Coach. And I know it's a program and it's a school that is certainly reputable in the state of Texas, but I think nationwide, even we were just talking about a few names of graduates that you can kind of go on a first or last name basis. And certainly I know them down here with one of your graduates coming to the University of Miami, but knowing that there's certain there's a ton of graduates sprinkled across the country that have gone on, especially from a football standpoint. I know that's a very respectable program down there. So again, it's a program we respect, but I know that you have every bit your hand in it, and that's a testament to your hard work. Can you tell us, we were talking a little bit off air, can you just tell us a little bit about some of your graduates and where some of those guys and gals are now? We were talking a little bit about the 2017 graduation class.
Okay.
Some of your graduates in the past that have gone on and maybe are still playing on Saturdays.
Okay. We've been open since 2005. I think we actually did a rundown the other day. We've sent off maybe, I may not be right on point on this, about 70 Division I football players. Quite a few, the most recent would be Ellis Jefferson, Arizona State, Gerard Hurd at Texas, Patrick Morris at TCU, who's I guess he was listed as one of the top 20 freaks in ESPN or Sports Illustrated. There's a couple other, Division IIs. They're so all over the place. We just had a couple kids from UNT, Kevin Dillman, who's there right now. They're all over the place. We had two not too long ago. One was a receiver at Stanford, and he just graduated. And then another kid that was at Stanford, Cole Underwood, who's now, I think he's working for ESPN now.
Cool.
So, yeah, definitely got a lot of kids out there representing who we are.
And, Coach, do you work specifically with the football program, or do you have other teams in there?
Yes, sir. I'm assistant football, but, football is my thing when it comes to strength conditioning, but I also work with baseball, men's basketball, just started working with soccer. I think that's it. We've also have a girls coordinator, Rachel Hayes. She was hired on about 3 years ago, and she takes over all the girls sports. But yeah, we pretty much, us two together, run the strength conditioning program at Geyer.
Good stuff. Coach, if you would, go into what your average day looks like, who you see, when you see them, how often you see them on a weekly basis.
It's crazy. So like on any Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I get up probably about 4:30, 4:45. Usually start out, we have a senior guys going to college level, lift at 5:30. They'll lift for about an hour, and then we'll have usually our group of football kids come in about 6:50. They'll lift for about an hour. Usually then I have about a 40-minute window, and then we have freshman football during the first block. And then we're on a block schedule, so we have 5 blocks. So the first block is obviously freshman athletics. And then the rest of the day I'll either have a high school 101 class or ISS. And then when 5th block comes around, I'm back in athletics with football. And then right now, being in the spring, I have baseball. As soon as they're done with practice, about 5:30. So it's definitely a long day.
How often do you see the baseball guys in
season? In the past, we've done 2 years during in season. Our new head coach who just came in this year, he's really pushed for 3 days. Cool. So I'll see them Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday.
Okay.
I also work with TW basketball during the off season, so I'll see them Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Do they come to your site, or do you go to them?
Oh yeah. They have a decent setup at TW, but there's a lot better setup at Geyer. They come in the mornings, and Monday it's a wacky schedule. Mornings on Monday, Wednesdays in the afternoon, and Friday on the afternoon.
Gotcha. Right on. Awesome. Appreciate it, Coach. I know that this wasn't a particular question from anyone specifically for this roundtable, but it's a common question when we go around here. And certainly I'm sure you've gotten it a few times. I think coaches that are trying to break into the high school level or start their career at the high school level, they're looking for how and when and why and how it might be possible that these jobs open up. So if you wouldn't mind, could you tell us how and when you ended up at Geyer and how you found it or how they found you?
Yeah, I was completely lucky. I was coming out of college at Tarleton, and I had a connection with my high school coaches, and they were down in Houston, and I was constantly in contact with them about getting a job down there. And then just right when I was about to graduate, a new school opened up at Geyer, and they took that position, and they talked to the head coach about getting me on staff. I wasn't even into the strength conditioning then. It was mainly just for football. And then in 2006, I was hired on at the middle school that feeds into Geyer. And then that's how I got in. I was just lucky I had a good connection with my high school coaches. Now, if I'm a coach in the DFW area or Texas trying to get in, it's blowing up around here. I think a lot of people have seen our success, what a strength conditioning program can do for a program as a whole. And there's been a lot of people buying into hiring a straight strength coach. Sure. I know in Denton ISD, going through our success, and a few years ago, our athletic director, he actually has a daughter coming through, and our superintendent, he was like, they're taking care of their kids, they're doing things right. We need to open up that position, and they hired on a strength coach at each school.
That's awesome.
But the more I hear about it, I have superintendents contacting me about, do you know anybody that would like to take this position? I know that Mesquite ISD actually opened up an administrator position to be over all entire school district, which would be tough, but I could see that going on later on.
Was that position filled? Do you know?
It was. I don't know who filled it.
Okay.
It was good pay, but I'm not sure what the details of the job is. I don't know if they would hire strength coaches under them. Hopefully he wasn't running the whole thing, but their mind's in the right and their heart's in the right place.
Absolutely. Is there any connection or communication for you with the other schools in Denton ISD? Do you meet with those coaches regularly, or is there any communication, or is it a rivalry that y'all hate each other?
Well, there's a couple rivalries. Now Denton High School, we've actually opened up communication, and they've come over and we've talked quite a bit. It's Pat Coleman. I think he was at Tulsa for a little while. He's a great guy. Brazel, the new high school, just opened up. They actually hired a guy. There's a program called Performance Course. It's an outside source that works with schools in the summer, and he has his last name's Hickman, and I haven't talked to him a whole lot. I know of him, and at Ryan High School, I have no idea. We kind of don't cross paths too much.
Gotcha. So did you know, and getting back to the how you ended up there, did you know was the goal to be a high school football coach?
Absolutely. Okay. I'd always loved training. I was the type of kid, back in the day when I was in high school, you weren't required to go in and lift in the summer. It was all on your own. there was no set, here's the lift, you got to do this, this, and this. I was just motivated, and I went in every day. I skipped a lot of summer vacations, and I've always loved training. I tore my ACL my senior year in high school, and I went to a therapy program, and there was a lot of athletes in that program who were just busting their tail to get back in shape, and it was a great environment to be in. It just motivated me to be around guys who were like me and that were, high standard people. And then, originally I just wanted to be a football coach.
Yeah.
But
it's sorry to cut you off. It's interesting in our profession. You certainly have the coaches. Most of us were athletes in some context, form, or fashion. That's not necessarily, of course, that's not a
right.
That's not a prerequisite for the profession. But a lot of times you hear a common thread of coaches, strength coaches in particular, that at one point or another were injured through their career, and probably a season-ending injury and potentially even career-ending, that becomes their passion, and that's how we take shape in this profession, and preventing that in some individuals. So it's pretty cool to hear that. If you could now switching gears a little bit, could we talk a little bit about programming?
Yes,
could you give us, you could get as detailed or undetailed, lack of detail as you'd like, in a basic rundown of your programming methods?
Okay, so I do a lot with our middle school programs. They stay on a 3-day split, very much John or Joe Ken's tier system. Same thing with what a lot of people call block 0 or freshmen, which I call kind of our foundational group. They're a 3-day split, total body, lower body, upper body emphasis. And then when we get up to the developmental guys who've had a year or two of experience, and guys in that have 2 or 3 maybe, they go up to a 4-day split. And a lot of our philosophy is based off what Boyd Eppley was doing at Nebraska. We're explosive and strength split. Monday being explosive day, Tuesday being a strength day, Thursday being explosive speed strength, and then Friday being another strength day, mainly emphasis on lower body with squat. But yeah, that's how we break down our overall program.
Cool. Awesome. Going into Gary Schofield from Greater Atlanta Christian had a question, and you touched on it a little bit, but you at least just mentioned that you have a Block 0 program. Can you go into greater detail about that Block 0 program and the ins and outs, and kind of what you're preparing them for, what you're seeing on the front end, what they're looking like coming in, and how you prepare them for the next step?
Yeah, when they come in, I'm not assuming anything. I don't. They come in, I'm thinking they've had 0 experience, and the first thing I want to do is I just want them to get comfortable with being in the weight room. I want them, if I'm thinking long-term athletic development, I want them to get used to learning, train how to train, how to work around the weight room. Like I said, they're on a 3-day split. Our main emphasis, a lot of kids that come into the high school, man, they're terrible at movement, terrible mobility. There's a lot of fixing that goes on. So Monday's usually our total body day with cleans, and then Wednesday would be our lower body day of squats, and then emphasis on bench on Fridays. But then on Tuesday and Thursday, they do a lot of grid work where we really break down the movement patterns and teach them how to move, how to position their body to transition, how to jump, how to run. Just very fundamental things that's a lot of times overlooked, because a lot of these kids, they come in and I think Lauren Landau said it, that they're over-specialized and under-generalized. So my job is to be the generalist and just teach them the basic fundamentals that they should have been taught and they should have done as little kids.
Sure. No, that's awesome. And going into, you keep touching on the next questions. Rob Brokaw was curious of some of your grid work, and in particular your cone work that you we were talking about. I think it happened most of current last summer that we were seeing on social media, a lot of really good stuff coming out of Geyer. Can you touch on that stuff a little bit, and maybe even our conversation on social media on the front end of this before we went on air? If you could talk about some of your thoughts there.
So the grid, just so y'all know what it is, it's a pretty much a 20 by 20, several set of cones. It's a way to teach change of direction technique to a large group of kids. It's a good way just to slow things down and see where we're at as a whole. And our main emphasis and our main goal during the grid is to teach, a shuffle, how to run, how to do a speed cut, pedal, any basic movement you could see on a playing field. And yes, it's changed a lot since even last summer. Really last year, we were just throwing a lot of stuff at them. There was really not a whole lot of good flow to it. I mean, the kids were learning, but I think there's a guy that I met from Katy. His name is Ryan Ojeda, and he has really done a good job of teaching me and how to simplify progressions for change of direction for the kids and for me. A good way to progress, and if I need to, regress. But usually when we do the grid early on, I would do probably 5 or 6 movements at once, one after the other. But now it's come down where slow things down, teach 2 or 3 things. Don't overcomplicate it, make it very simple. So there may be a day that we work speed cuts, maybe work some decel, and that's it.
Awesome.
It just kind of goes off, what am I seeing from the kids? What is something we really need to work on more than anything?
Cool. I appreciate that. Andrew Picardo has a question. Do gifted athletes that come in as freshmen have a chance to skip or fast track that block zero?
Yes. Our head football coach, Coach John Walsh, there's some kids, like I said, I've worked in the middle school, so I'll have a lot of hand work with them and progressing them. So there's a lot of kids that are in our program as they come as freshmen. They're a little advanced, so they can come up into the bigger groups. Now, there may be times, like I'll write a workout and I'll have a separate sheet for those freshmen if there's something that they're lacking or something that I see that they need to work on. If they're not ready for a back squat, then I'll change their workout up a little bit to help them progress at their own pace.
Sure. That relates to a question that I have. We have oftentimes, or it becomes relatively occurrent that we might have a kid that transfers in one of their later high school years. Do you have that? It sounds like you have a pretty good culture build and a developmental program built from middle school on. Do you have any kids that tend to maybe come in or move in their junior or senior year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've had kids move in from all ages. As soon as they come in, it's like a slow down. I don't care how much you learn from somebody else. I don't care how much your side trainers have taught you. You're going to start from the basics. And I'm going to assess you and see where you're at, mobility wise, movement wise, how you work in the weight room. What was your coach like when you came from? Are you going to buy into what we're into? And once they're in, I mean, it's hard not to be a part of this program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have such a good buy-in that they have no choice but to join in or get singled out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have what is your typical, not necessarily what does the summer look like, but do the kids, do they stay local or are they typical to travel? Do you have everybody there in the summer? And
in the last couple of years, we've had a few travel off, but for the most part, man, our kids are dedicated. They show up every single day. Now they'll communicate if they're going to miss. They'll miss a day or two here, but they're very consistent, and they know how important it is to show up every day. And with our older kids, we might have anywhere from 80-something kids show up. Younger kids, you probably have the same number. There's quite a few that show up just in football in general.
Sure, awesome. Want to talk? Well, are you guys gearing up for spring ball here?
Getting close. April 24th is when we'll start.
How does spring work in Texas?
We have anywhere from January for us, from January to about April. It's pretty much our own progression. It's the grid, it's change of direction stuff, it's the weight room. Once we hit the end of April, then we go into the bigger schools have a choice of deciding to go into spring ball or not. And if they decide to go into spring ball, they have, I think it's 18 practices. I don't know what the time limit is. We keep it short. We understand the grind to get to the kids. So we use a minimum amount of days. And that'll last. Our spring games usually May 18th or somewhere in that 3rd or 4th week in May. And then if you do decide to do spring ball, you lose a week during 2 days.
Right. No, I remember hearing that. That's interesting. And it's inter-squad, that spring game, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, down here we play an actual game. We'll play somebody, across town or.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. But you get so in that game anyway. And we'll usually, most schools around here will play, what might look like your spring game the Friday before that or something like that to make sure everybody. But you get in a spring game and it's not counting, you obviously, and then you're worried about getting certain guys playing time and being able to see young kids, get out there and see how they do on the field. But then you miss out on some opportunities to get quality reps for some of your veterans. But it's been a really good model for us down here. It was interesting to hear the Texas model when I did hear that for the first time. Andrew had a question again, talking about, I think he's going back to summer when you were talking about buy-in that you have in your program. He was asking from who specifically, coaches, administrators, or the athletes. Are there consequences to not showing up?
No, there's no consequences. We're not going to punish you. It's your time. It's your choice if you want to be there. The kids understand if they don't show up, then it's going to hurt them. And there's kids that are counting on them. So they got to be accountable to those kids. And it is very much so a family environment, and those kids depend on each other, calling each other, saying, hey, where you at? The coaches sometimes have to call people. The coaches are all, I have, I think, 15 to 16 assistant coaches that I work with in football. So I'm very blessed. So, 4 or 5 of them can leave for a week. They communicate with the kids. They communicate with the head coach, with me. We usually have 2 coaches to 1 position. So one can leave for a few days and the other one can stay. But, we're truly blessed. Administration backs us. Everybody's on point.
Sounds pretty awesome. I know there's a lot of coaches listening right now that I know are wishing they had probably 1 or 2 in the summer. That's just that really shows the school's commitment and you and your staff's commitment to what's going on there. That's awesome. I had a question. Forgive me for not knowing the name of the coach. I just saw it on social media as we were getting going here. He was wondering the implementation of nutrition and maybe the nutrition education that you have and what you're able to, allow or provide your kids there on campus.
I got you. I stress nutrition so much. I drown them with information. I've opened up a Google Drive or Google Classroom that the kids will sign into, and I could post, nutritional information, videos, anything about anything that could help them, educate them about nutrition. They go into the locker rooms. There's always stuff posted. They go to the urinals. There's stuff posted for reading. I try to educate the coaches and try to get on the same page. Every Monday we meet as a staff, and usually the first thing I talk about, is getting the kids to eat throughout the day and make sure make sure they're eating after workouts. I've developed a 16-week weigh-in. The kids come in on Monday morning. They weigh in front of their coach. They come back in on Friday afternoon and they weigh in again so we can see if there's progress. If the kid's trying to gain weight, if he's losing weight, what's going on? It's a good way to keep those kids accountable. If there is some issues, I'll sit a kid down. We'll talk about nutrition. But I'm not a registered dietitian. I can't tell them, hey, take this, 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 and this. I'm not big on supplements. We've got to train these kids outside of athletics how to be healthy adults. We want to prepare them for life after Geyer. So just try to inform them how to take care of themselves, how to take care of their bodies, because there's so much happening to their bodies, not just what we're doing, but nowadays so much what they're doing outside of us. There's very little recovery. So you've got to do your part. You got to sleep. You got to eat. You've got to drink water. Just got to take care of your 1%.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Coach. That's awesome. I think it's something that we all need to hear because we're all in the same boat from that standpoint where there's limitations on us as far as, number one, what our education is, but number two, what we're able to educate on and what we're able to provide. So I appreciate that info. I want to remind everybody that's watching that text box is where you can go ahead and send any questions if you like. Next, I'm going to go into a 4-part question. I'm just going to give it to you part by part. It's just what's next. So the first question is, or the first part of it is, what's next for Denton Geyer's strength and conditioning program? What do you see in the next 5 years transpiring there that's going to make you guys better?
Man, hopefully if everything comes through, we're about to be real fortunate. There's been plans for us to build a new weight room, a new field house strictly for football. I've been helping out our head coach plan and design a weight room with 5,000 square feet. Pretty much anything you could ask for, top of the line. I'll be blessed. I should be very thankful. But maybe include some technology into it. But man, just having that facility will change everything. Well, actually, right now we only have one turf field that we all share. So there's also opportunity that we may have a turf field tied onto that one. Nice. So the limits it's crazy.
Do y'all have an indoor there?
No, we don't. Most high schools do in Texas, but
Sounds like
Yeah, and Denton ISD, if one school's going to have something, somebody else has got to have it.
Uh-huh.
And they spent, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard that back in the day, they had the opportunity to either get a huge stadium that everybody shares or break it up, the money, and get indoor facilities. And they went to this huge stadium, C.H. Collins.
Yeah, I've been there.
But, man, yeah, there's schools around us like Coppell. They have a gorgeous indoor facility. South Lake. There's plenty of schools around us. Arlington ISD. Their AD is just deck them out. I think if they have I don't know how many schools they have, 5 or 6 that all have equipped with 40 racks or something inlaid, and then indoor facilities. It's just ridiculous how much money is spent at athletics in Texas.
Yeah, that's incredible. Next part of that question is what, it doesn't sound like you're going to be going anywhere anytime soon, but
No.
What's next for Coach Keese?
Man, right. A long time ago, I've always wanted to be at the collegiate level, but my friend Brian Kegans, who's down at Fulshire High School, he was at Texas, and I saw what he had to go through. Had to give up some family time. My family means everything to me, and I'm very fortunate to be a guy where Coach Walsh gives me open whatever to do whatever I want. He completely trusts me. We have a great administration. I love the school. The school that our son's going to go to is going to be great. We live right down the road from the elementary. It would be real hard to get away from here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Plus, we have a big weight room coming, so
yes, sir.
It's like a kid in Christmas.
That thing's going to be awesome. Just knowing the town and knowing, again, the success of what y'all have going there. That's going to be impressive. I can't wait to see it. Let's. I'm gonna cut that in half for now, and we're gonna end with my last 2 parts, which is just going to be talking about the direction of the strength and conditioning profession, and specifically the high school level, because we had a question pop up. Coach from Bixby Strength. I apologize, your name's not tagged on there, so I'll just go with Coach from Bixby Strength. Do all sports? What's that?
I said I know that guy up there. He's a good man.
Good deal. Do all sports buy into strength and conditioning at Geyer? And is there any situation in which you've had to convince a coach to buy in? And how did you approach that challenge?
No, we've got it pretty well. Most of the sports buy in. We do have a couple sports who are not interested. We have talked several times to the coaches about the benefits of strength training. The biggest thing being injury prevention. But they've got this prerequisite that's not good for their kids or whatever, or they've had bad situations other places. But for the most part, who we are and what we've done in the past, the other programs know that and know how they can benefit from it. So there's complete buy-in, and it doesn't hurt having 2 strength coaches on staff that are well educated and certified.
Sure. How often do your coaches kind of move around, or is everyone there pretty staked in?
For the most part, since 2006, since we opened, we've had very little turnover. A couple of years ago, we had quite a few, but that's going to happen when you got a good program. There's going to be coaches leaving because there's better positions open. So for the most part, not a whole lot of turnover, but just a little bit. And everybody's on the same page. We haven't had to change a whole lot because those head coaches have been around. It's been a great situation.
Cool. And are most of those coaches teachers as well? Yes, sir.
Awesome. Most of the head coaches just don't have quite a heavy class load, but yes, everybody teaches in some form.
Outstanding. So if anyone else has any questions, you can go ahead and fire them away. But otherwise, I'm going to get finished with these last 2 parts of that question. So let's hear what you think or what you see next for the strength and conditioning profession. And it could be 5, 10, it could be 50 years. As far as the direction the profession and our field is going.
Well, I'm definitely going to see a lot more well-equipped strength coaches coming in the high school level, maybe in the middle school levels. I think there's going to be a saturation in Texas. It's going to start there, and pretty much all the other schools look at us, what's going on athletically, and I start seeing it spread a lot more in the other states. I start seeing a lot more technology in the weight room, 10-0 machines, elite form, all sorts of things to test data, analyze things. But there's no telling what's going to be in 10 years. There might not be strength coaches there. There might be robots running the whole thing for all I know.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
I love my job too much.
You're right.
Need a robot taking it over.
I knew Andrew, the passion.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew Andrew was going to ask this. That's why I'm laughing. You guys use any Olympic lifting variations?
A few.
Yeah.
We're very heavily based on Olympic lifting. Back in the day, we used to do a lot of snatch and clean and jerk, but we've kind of gotten away from that. I mean, we could teach it and the kids can know how to do it, but I want to be simplistic. So I don't want to do too many things and not be good at it. So we focus mainly on the clean, and I think we're pretty good at it. So to us, our progression is real simple to teach. So we implement it in the middle schools. I just worry about the risk, the reward for snatch and clean jerks. You know, some kids lack the overhead mobility. It's very technical as it is, so just kind of stick to what you got.
Would you mind quickly going into that progression?
Yes, sir. And this is developed from the USA weightlifting. So usually we start off with teaching the front squat, and at the middle school it starts with the squat progression. Teaching a counterbalance squat, a goblet squat, and so on and so on. But master the front squat. We'll then go down to what we call our position 1, which is a power position right in the hip. Teach the kids how to extend the hip to get the bar to elevate up under the shoulders. Position 2 is right above the knee. Position 3 is below the knee, and then lift off from the floor. So we break it up into chunks so that you don't throw the whole picture at them at once. I think that's the way that kids learn. If you throw too much at them, it's going to be confusing, and they'll never really get good at something. Now, our clean progression, we come in every single day. Our barbell warm-up, we do a lot of technique work that ties into the progression. So there may be a day we come in and we work straight, position 1, pull only, just focus on using the hips. And sometimes we'll go down to position 2 to, really focus on the hinge, weight distribution on the feet. Right now I'm really having to hone in on kids pulling weight from the floor, not popping their butt straight up in there, but really activate the posterior chain.
Sure.
But it's really on a day-by-day basis. What are we doing that's not correct? What do we need to work on? But it's something we do every single day. We're technicians about it.
Awesome. Next question is coming from Coach Jim Sake or Saki. I apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. What are your go-to sources to dig up content, and in particular for your Google Classroom and bulletin boards, etc.?
Okay, so for nutrition-wise, I've reached out to a couple strength coaches. TCU has helped me out a bunch. Anything that I've, Nancy Clark, she has a lot of good information out there. I'm trying to think who else. When it comes to training-wise, man, there's so many. I respect Paul Jackson, what he does at Ole Miss. Tommy Moffitt, he kind of started me off of being, excited about this profession because we asked him if we'd come by and see him. It's a long drive from Denton, so we drove forever down to Baton Rouge, and he got done with the workout, and the man, as busy as he is and big as he is, he sat down and talked to us for 6 hours just about passion about the profession, and it lit a fire in me. So, kind of his tree, Paul Jackson does an amazing job, man. His movement, and we kind of mirror some of what he does. It's a different type of animal at the collegiate level, but we put a huge, emphasis on movement. Lauren Landau is huge with movement. Joe Kim, this tier system. I guess some of the books I look at too is Bompa's, periodization stuff, Science and Practice of Strength Training, Joe Kim's training book. But that's basically what I use. And there's a lot of good sources on the internet. So there's definitely there's an overload of information out there.
Awesome. Cool. I appreciate that, Coach. Let's start to close it out because I know, again, just referring to what you said, I know you like to spend time with your family. So we're going to let you do that. And obviously we're going to hold you as long as we can, but we want you to enjoy your time with family. So just closing out, I know we have a lot of young coaches that are watching this, and I don't know how much longer I can refer to myself as a young coach, but I still do. So in the context of talking to you, I'm certainly inexperienced and hearing the wealth of experience and knowledge that you have. Advice for young coaches, even younger, maybe an undergrad student or a graduate student that's just breaking into the field, maybe a nugget for them or a piece of advice for them in how to handle themselves, how to approach other coaches, how to find coaches like Tommy Moffitt that are going to sit down with them for hours on end and help them and gear them in this profession. Maybe just some advice for young coaches.
Man, my biggest thing is get experience. Get out there, get your hands dirty, go out and be humble enough. I'm going to sit back and say, I know strength conditioning, but I'm not the smartest guy when it comes to strength conditioning. So I'm going to reach out to everybody. I don't care who you are. I just want to absorb as much information as possible. If I have to drive to your facility, I'll do it. If I have to give up spring break or summer, I'm going to drive to Nebraska. I'm going to go to Kansas. I'm going to go to LSU. I'm going to see what other people are doing. Maybe there's something I need to fix myself. But just be humble and be a sponge. Go learn from people. Reach out. That's the biggest thing to me. Books can tell you a whole lot. They can kind of give you some information, quite a bit of information. But the greatest teacher you can have is just the experience itself. Learn from your mistakes. That's the biggest thing I've learned from. At one point, I thought I knew everything, and I've had a lot of mistakes teach me. So that's the biggest thing: experience, failure, and then just reaching out.
Awesome. The next one might be aimed towards the same audience. It might not. It might be for potentially a college coach that's looking for a high school job. But what's your advice for coaches that are looking to break in or looking to find these roles, beyond what your experience of how you found Geyer, but just some advice for coaches that are looking for high school jobs or maybe thinking of a high school job that they hadn't previously thought of before?
The Texas High School Coaches Association has a website, the job posting. They can post stuff on there. There's a lot more popping up with strength conditioning. That'd be the first place I go to. The Old Coach is a database you can go to, a forum that there's a lot of coaches talking on there. Reach out to strength coaches like myself and ask if somebody's been kind of in their ear. You're looking for somebody. I had a head coach ask me the other day, did you know somebody that would be interested in being our strength conditioning coach? But yeah, there's plenty of resources here in DFW for sure.
Can you repeat those websites that you said?
Yes, the oldcoach.com and then the Texas High School Coaches Association.
Awesome. I appreciate that. We'll make sure we share that because there's always coaches that are looking for, obviously, our profession, and we could talk about the high school level all night long.
Oh yeah.
There's just so many qualified coaches that, so many kids would benefit from. And, when you hear from a coach, I'm sure you share these sentiments. When I hear from a coach that I just know, like, if I could land that coach a position, I know it would bless that high school for,
oh yeah,
forever. You hear from some of those coaches that it's like, wait, really? You're thinking of the high school? Oh, that's absolutely awesome. You need to find a position, and I need to find a position for that person. So I appreciate that insight. We're going to make sure we share that out with everybody that's watching this, but also everybody in the future that's looking for a high school position.
Yes, sir.
Last but not least, want to really close it out and hammer home this idea and the beauty of this high school level. I want to hear from you. What can we do to continually build on this? What can we do to, what are your thoughts on how we can continue really to legitimize the high school level in terms of a national spotlight? I think everybody sees it growing. Everybody sees coaches that are really committed. Just look at the number of viewers that are here. We're really committed to learning and growing in this field, and learning and growing our profession and our realm as well, and developing relationships. I want to hear what are your thoughts on how we can continue to do this? What can we do as a whole? What can we do as individuals to continue this, how we've been picking up steam in the high school level, what we can do?
Well, my biggest thing before this all started, there's always the stereotype that high school strength coaches really don't know what they're doing. They have no knowledge. And I think now with social media can be a great platform for coaches to put, I wouldn't say so much yourself, but what you're doing and how safe we're doing things and how we're progressing things properly. Just post your program out there, show these other schools and these college levels and the ADs and everybody that there's well-qualified strength coaches out there. They're doing things right. Continue to get out there to the organizations, go to the conferences, meet people, talk shop, and they'll realize that there's some well-qualified coaches at the high school level.
Awesome, Coach. I appreciate that. And I really appreciate your time tonight. I know that's sort of a hot seat at times when questions come firing at you, and
Man, I love this. I could do this all night.
Absolutely.
I don't think I have another hobby. This is my hobby.
Yes, sir. Well, it's great to have you on here, and really this was very enjoyable for me. Just all the thank yous are firing in this chat. I don't know if you can see it, but a lot of thank yous are coming through, and I know those will echo for a while, because there's going to be a lot of people that are really, really thankful, myself included, that you would come on here and you would be willing to share what you do, a little bit about your life and your family, and hearing those things has been a really incredible experience for many of us. So, Coach, I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I feel like, I've reached out to so many people. I was talking about Tommy Moffitt earlier. It's my responsibility. For those people who have done that for me, I need to reach out and give more to other people. There's a lot of things I can learn from other people. You doing this thing, man, it does a lot for our profession. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That means a lot, Coach. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and stop this broadcast. I'm not sure if others are going to be able to see it or not, but we'll just kind of recap a little bit, and then we'll get you on and get you back with your family. All right?
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Again, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.